Today, Altucher is a successful entrepreneur, writer, and investor. Throughout his motley career, he's developed ways to pursue his passions while monetizing them in the process. In these blinks, we'll dive into the strategies he's refined to skip the line or shorten the path to achieving your goals. You'll be propelling yourself towards success in no time.
Blink 1 of 8.
Have you ever heard of the 10,000 hours rule? The concept was developed by Swedish psychologist Anders Ericsson and was later popularized by the author Malcolm Gladwell. It states that becoming the best in the world at something takes 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. This involves practicing the skill you want to get better at, measuring your success or failure, and getting a coach to give you feedback, and then repeating all this over again until you've achieved the desired results. But what if you don't have 10,000 hours to spend learning a skill? What if you need to be great at something like now?
This is the key message. Skipping the line means finding what you love and getting good at it fast.
At the start of 2020, few could have predicted just how bad the COVID-19 pandemic would become. Tens of millions of people ended up losing their jobs, and many businesses closed their doors forever. People had to figure out what to do next in order to pay their bills and feed their families. They had to choose between finding a new job in their current field, changing professions, or doing something completely different. James Altucher knows what it's like to have to start all over again. In 2002, he had no career, no job, and was broke. But he knew he wanted to be a professional investor, and he was excited by the prospect of writing a book. To achieve these goals, he told himself that he needed to get better at something every day, even if it was just 1% better. Fast forward 2 years, and Altucher was running a hedge fund that managed millions of dollars, as well as writing his first book. A few years after that, he sold an investment-related business for a lucrative amount. It was in the millions. So, how did he transform his situation so fast? First, he thought about what it was that he really wanted to do. Then he ditched the idea that it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. Instead, he thought about ways he could quickly get good at something and start earning money from it. To this end, he started constructing experiments, like the 1% exercise, to rapidly test ideas and learn from them. We'll be taking a closer look at his method, which he calls the 10,000 experiments rule, in the following blinks.
Blink 2 of 8.
In the 1960s, Dick Fosbury was a mediocre high jumper. This was mostly because the accepted technique for high jumping, the upright scissors technique, just didn't work for him. It involved running toward the bar, jumping forward, and swinging your lead leg up straight, then lifting your other leg to clear the bar. But Fosbury...
Blink 3 of 8.
Have you ever wondered how some people get good at things so quickly? Consider Pelé, the Brazilian soccer superstar. He didn't start playing seriously until he was 15, when he joined Santos FC. By that age, many professionals already have a decade of experience and 10,000 hours of practice under their belts. But within a year, Pelé was playing for Brazil's national team, and he went on to become one of the most beloved players of all time. So, how did he become so good in such a short amount of time?
Here's the key message. To get good at something fast, apply the skills you've learned from another field.
This technique is what Altucher calls borrowing hours. and it can help speed up your acquisition of skills. The idea is to think about what you've learned in one field and then apply those skills to something new. Borrowing hours is how Pele became one of the greatest players in the world. Pele had grown up in a poor family and hadn't had access to the facilities or equipment needed to play soccer. Instead, he'd played another popular sport.
Blink 4 of 8.
In 2002, Altucher was in the depths of depression. After a stint as a day trader, which eventually left him bankrupt, he was broke again. He was losing his home and had 2 kids to feed. He needed to figure a way out of this mess. So he started small. He created lists of things he could do to earn money and get his career back on track. These included ideas for businesses, books, articles, even ideas for other people's businesses. The result? His ideas became opportunities.
The key message here is, generating new ideas every day helps you create new career possibilities.
All of this transpired because Altucher had exercised his idea muscle on a daily basis. There are a number of techniques you can use to generate lots of ideas. Altucher calls this process idea calculus. The first technique is idea addition, when you take an old idea and add something to make it better. During the first global lockdown, Altucher created a list of 10 ideas he'd add to improve the video conferencing platform Zoom. Now he's working on a new platform that includes these 10 features. Next up, idea subtraction. That's when you take an idea that seems impossible to implement and subtract the reason why you can't do it. For instance, Altucher's friend wanted to make a clothing line in the US, but couldn't find a manufacturer. So he suggested she make the first samples in China to prove there was a market. Then find a way to make it in America. The third technique is idea multiplication. That's when you take an idea that works in a specific instance and then generalize this idea to scale it. Amazon is a case in point. The platform first sold books online, proved that.
Blink 5 of 8.
Ever had a day where you feel like an unlimited fountain of thoughts and ideas? Altucher has experienced this a lot, but it hasn't always been a good thing. Sometimes, after madly conjuring up ideas all day, he'd have nothing tangible to show for it. He'd wonder, why didn't I do anything? He simply couldn't decide which ideas or activities to pursue. With too much wide open space and no plan, he wasn't able to move forward.
This is the key message. Being an apt experimenter means figuring out which ideas to pursue.
It's great having lots of ideas, but you have to determine which ones are good and which ones aren't. Doing so will save you a lot of time and ensure that you're focusing on the right things. When Altucher weighs up which ideas to pursue, he asks himself, how many things have to conspire to make this idea a reality? He calls this amount the conspiracy number. For instance, if you want to write a book and make money from it, there are 5 steps. First, you have to write the book. Then